So what if I told you there's a spell in your world so powerful that if anyone truly understands it, not casts it or reads it, just understands it, they drop dead on the spot. No save. Your brain just steps away from the table and goes, nope. I ain't dealing with that. And of course, your players have decided they want to learn it. They want to know its name, its language, its shape. They want you to explain something that, by definition, cannot be explained. And there you are behind the screen, thinking, oh shit, how do I describe something that melts minds by being described? And that's the problem we're solving today. Not just monsters or eldritch horrors, but concepts. The things too huge and too weird, or too wrong, maybe even too beautiful, too beyond us to put into words. The art of describing the impossible. And as DMs, this is exactly the kind of problem we pretend to hate, but actually love way too much. But Flamey, if I can't describe it, how do I run it? You sit down to prep. Okay, cool. Session 12, they finally reach the far realm, tear in the sky. I'll just describe non-Euclidean geometry, somehow with my mouth, live. Here's the first thing to know. You're not actually trying to describe the impossible thing. You're trying to describe its footprint. You don't need the perfect words for the end of the universe. You need the perfect words for what happens around your players when they stand on that cliff and watch it happen. Let's go through some tools that are going to help you with this. Show the hole, not the object. Easiest place to start. Describe the hole it leaves in reality, not the thing itself. Think about in stories or movies when you actually get to see someone looking at something that's undescribable. You don't actually see the words or read the full text. You just sort of see their minds break. That's the DM superpower. It's going to look something like this. You unfold the letter. The handwriting looks wrong, like whoever wrote it wasn't fully in agreement with their own fingers. You read the first line. By the time you get to the third, your eyes are streaming, your jaw hurts from how hard you're clenching it, and you realise you've stopped breathing. You're not even sure what the words say, you just know you never want to see them again. What didn't we do? We didn't tell them what the letter actually said. We described the impact, their tears, their physical pain, the emotional recoil, the way their brain refuses to hold on to words. Player-wise, this does two things. It lets their imagination do way more work than you could, and it gives you permission to lean on vibes instead of perfect phrasing. You can literally just say, you understand it in the moment, and then it slides off your mind like oil. Whatever it was, you know that you never want to hear it again. You're describing the absence, the empty space. That's way more terrifying than it's a prophecy about the end of the world. If we stay with that idea for a second, most of the time, impossible stuff feels big because of how characters react to it, not because of the adjective. So instead of you see a massive inevitable horror of twisting tendrils and void eyes, just try something like the priest sees it first. He does a thing that mortals do when they see something their brain can't file anywhere. He laughs, just a little, like he's misheard a joke. Then he drops his holy symbol, very carefully sets his book on the floor, and starts walking into the sea. You never actually said what the thing looks like, but every player at the table now has a private, awful image built out of that reaction. Use NPCs for this, or animals, or environments. You can have birds falling out of the sky mid-flight, or torches burning cold, leaving frost on the walls, or magic misfiring or refusing to function at all. Anytime you're stuck, ask yourself, okay, if I was standing there, what would my body be doing without permission? Then narrate it. You can compare it to things badly. Cosmic horror authors love to stack comparisons that almost work, but they don't. Not like it's a big fish, more like it's kind of like a centipede. If a centipede was made of cathedral arches and wet leather, and the horrible feeling you get when someone is staring at you from behind. You're deliberately failing to give a clean shape. You let the listener's brain flicker between images, and at the table you can lean into that stumble. It looks like, imagine a wolf. If a wolf's ribcage bent outwards like a birdcage, and its head was a lantern. It keeps phasing between those two, like your brain can't decide which is worse. Do not over-polish these lines. It's more effective if you sound like you're genuinely scrambling for words. A trick I use a lot is write down 3 random sources you can mash together for a monster, like an animal and an object or architecture, a feeling or abstract concept. Then when they meet your eldritch thing, you riff something like, it moves like a centipede, but its body is a row of church pews, welded together, and every time it pulls itself forward, you get the same feeling you had that night your mother never came home. It is horrible, but it's effective, and barely any detail. And you can use the word as a measuring stick, which is another trick. Don't try to describe the scale directly, describe what is bigger than. You don't say the city is really old, you say, these stones were crumbling before any of the current gods had worshippers. The oldest dwarf's ruins, you know, their architects would have called this place ancient, and tried not to look at it for very long. In D&D terms, you've got so many easy anchors, older than the oldest dragon fossil in the world, predates the first Elven Kingdom. It was already a ruin when the gods first walked the world. You don't want to be saying shit like, you see the end of the universe. Instead, you want to be saying stuff like, you see the stars going out. Not like candles, more like someone is editing reality and getting bored world with the background layer. You watch entire constellations, myths people have told for thousands of years vanish in a heartbeat. And you know, somehow that the stories vanish with them, somewhere a child forgets their favourite bedtime tale mid-sentence. We never proved it's the end of the universe, we showed what it eats, and what's left behind. You can do the same with power. The thing's weakest servant disintegrated a solar into ash by looking at it funny. Whatever it serves, you really don't want to get in a fight with it. Break reality's rules on purpose. Another way to sell impossible is to make it contradict the physics of your own game. Not every scene, but sprinkled in the right places, works really well. Things like gravity going sideways for one object only, sound moving at the wrong speed, or light behaving like liquid, maybe time stuttering for everyone except one character. Here's an example for you. The spell detonates, but the fire doesn't woomph outwards the way it should. It pours, slowly, like honey, down the steps, flowing around your boots in complete silence. Wherever it touches the stone, frost flowers bloom. We've done three things at once, gave them a strong sensory hook, pouring, silence and frost. We've broken the usual pattern of fire spells, and we've left them no single label for what's happening. You could also break biological rules. You look at the corpse, no eyes, no mouth, no obvious sensory organs, but you cannot shake the feeling that it's still making eye contact with you. You keep wanting to move, so you're not in its line of sight, except it doesn't have one. We're not talking about its tentacles again, we're breaking the idea of what a face even is. The important thing is, choose one or two rules to violate. Don't throw 20 at once. You want wrongness, not confusion. And you want to let vagueness do some of your work. Here's a subtle one for you, half detail. You want just enough specifics that your players latch on, but not so many that they can ever fully picture it. Think of it like a tumor made of glass shards, pulsing slowly. There are teeth in there somewhere, and something's breathing. We didn't say where the teeth are, how many, what shape, whether the breath sounds human. We gave 3 or 4 puzzle pieces, then stop. Your player's brain will itch at the missing pieces, and then unconsciously they'll fill them in with their own worst case scenarios. You want shit to sound like you feel something huge moving in the mist. You catch a glimpse, a slick grey surface like whale skin, rows of tiny mechanical legs glittering underneath, and a smell like burnt sugar and old blood. Whatever it is, it's bigger than a ship, and it knows exactly where you are. We're pointing out the concrete sensory details like smell, texture, sound. No clean outline. We never answer what it is exactly. Your players will ask you, okay, but what does it look like? You're allowed to smile and say, wrong. It looks wrong. You'll each picture something a little different, and you'll all be correct. Weaponized nonsense. Sometimes the right description for something beyond comprehension is absolute nonsense. Think about those scenes where someone goes through hyperspace, or glimpses a higher dimension, and the narration just collapses into weirdness. You don't want a monologue gibberish for 5 minutes, that's annoying, but a short burst can signal your characters have left the realm where language works. The point here is not that it makes sense, the point is that your players feel their character's bewilderment. You can use it for things like plane shifts, god visions, contacting other planes, commune style spells, cursed dreams. Don't do it every time someone casts detect magic or they'll start tossing you into the nearest portal. Mess with perception, not just visuals. A lot of people think describe the impossible means more objectives about how it looks. You've got other senses, and you've got perception itself. Think altered states like dream logic, deja vu, time dilation, the way everything feels wrong at 3 AM in an empty street. You're telling them your brain's not working the way you're used to. That's exactly what inevitable feels like from the inside. You can justify it in the world however you like, lingering psychic residue, wild magic storm, or a presence of an elder thing, or corrupted divine aura. Mechanically, you can even back it up, with disadvantage on investigation because everything seems off, or a wisdom save to avoid short-term madness. Maybe they've got exhaustion from trying to stay rational for too long. Now your descriptions are more than just flavour, they're actual gameplay. Story truth versus stat block truth. Let's talk about lying. Not to your players, to reality. It's called story truth versus happening truth. The fractal version versus the version that actually feels right. At the table, you're allowed to exaggerate, distort, and compress things if it makes the moment hit harder, as long as it doesn't screw the players over mechanically. It's like, on your paper, you might have an aberration with 3 attacks and 60 HP. In the story, it can be a nightmare that tears through your front line like wet paper, leaves claw marks in the stone, and feels weirdly bigger when you look at it head on. Mechanically, you haven't changed anything. It's got the same AC, same HP, same attack bonus, but the narrative framing tells them this is above your usual pay grade. You can also use story truth when you're describing past events or legends. You're not obliged to nail the real, literal version of the impossible thing. You're trying to get the feeling into their stomach. An easy way to do this is just to ask yourself, what do I want them to feel in this moment? Fear, awe, absurdity, hunger, grief? Then bend the description around that, even if it means the geometry isn't perfect. And don't think there isn't power in skipping descriptions. It's one of my favourite moves. You just don't describe it. Build it up, walk them to the edge and then cut away. You never say what they saw, you only talk about before and after. You let the cut be your description, the absence of detail is the point. Don't do this all the time though, or it becomes a bit of a cop-out. But for big cosmic moments, it's incredibly honest and incredibly powerful. You can say shit like, you step in the circle, and the god looks at you, not with eyes, just with attention, and suddenly you understand. You understand everything, why you were born, why this world is the way it is, what's waiting for you after death, the real shape of the thing behind the sun. 5 minutes later you're lying on the floor, tears all over your face, and the understanding is gone. All you're left with is a word, carved into your memory like a scar, and it hurts to even think about it. So how do you turn all this into practical stuff at your table? Let's do a concrete run with an example. Your party meets an impossible entity in the center of a ruined temple. You could go full stat block and say, you see a huge aberration with tentacle eyes. Or you could chain the tricks we've just talked about. You step into the heart of the temple, you're expecting an altar, a statue or something. Instead there's a dip in reality in the middle of the room. Like someone scooped out a sphere of existence and forgot to put anything back. The torches bend away from it, flames leaning sideways, and your stomach drops the way it does in a bad dream. We've shown the hole, the footprint, and the broken rule. The cleric's holy symbol heats up against their chest, not burning, just panicking, like the god inside is trying to back away. This is the world's reactions, no detail on the thing yet. When you squint, you think you see something moving where the hole should be, not in front of you, but inside your own thoughts. Slippery, glassy, breathing in time with your pulse. For a second, you're sure you see teeth or gears, and then it's gone. And then you give it a bit of nonsense. One of you blinks, and for a single instant the room is a diagram. The lines of a child's drawing, and that thing in the center is a scribble with knives. Then reality snaps back and you realize you've lost 6 seconds just staring. And then you give it a mechanical follow through. Give me a wisdom save to avoid short-term madness. You take a level of exhaustion for staring too long. You gain disadvantage on certain checks while in its presence. You describe the effects of being near it, not the creature itself. By the time you ever say, it has X tentacles and Y eyes, your players already believe whatever this is going to be one hard fight, or maybe we should just get the fuck out of here. But Flamey, how do I not overdo it? Here's some guardrails for you. Save the full weirdness for special moments. Plan maybe 1 impossible description, beat per beat, 2 at most. The rest of the time, your regular narration is enough. Mix quiet and loud. Not every ineffable thing has to scream. A silent, nameless stone in a field can do just as much disturbing shit as a writhing mass of limbs, if everyone in the village refuses to look at it. Check in with your table. If you're leaning into horror, especially weird body stuff or reality-breaking things, make sure your players are up for it. Do you want existential dread in this campaign, or just silly goblins? It's a legitimate session 0 question. Don't jam the brakes every 5 minutes. If your pacing turns into fight 5-minute monologue, it will drag. Here's a little cheat sheet to tape to your DM screen if you want, when you're trying to describe the impossible. 1. Stop trying to draw the whole picture. Focus on its footprint, reactions, side effects, what it changes. 2. Use crooked comparisons. It's like X if X was built out of Y and felt like Z. 3. Let vagueness and omission work for you. Give a few sharp details then back away. 4. Break 1 or 2 rules on purpose. Gravity, sound, time, biology. Pick a rule and twist it. 5. Aim for a feeling, not a diagram. Decide what you want in their gut, awe, dread, absurd laughter, and bend the description towards that. So, how do you describe the impossible in your games? What's your favourite weird thing you've made up? Or if you're a player, what's the weirdest thing your DM's ever thrown at you? Let us all know in the comments so we can help each other improve our games. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay spicy, adventurer.